Hello, friends. For those people who are new, my name is Henry, and this is definitely a new way of presenting my videos. The way that this works is that I just record on Zoom about a controversial topic that I just choose from, as you can see from the bottom of that corner. Today, we're going to be talking about school. And the controversial topic is, does it really set up our children for success? Now, if this is your first time that you've been listening to these controversial topics, there's a few housekeepings that I will explain in the first 30 seconds. So these are all just my opinions, my own personal opinions, and I wish to be able to do this in a way that can stimulate your mind and to perhaps broaden your perspective on the topic, which is for today's instance on school. Now, I often go with either a very strong affirmative or a negative. And I will state that very clearly in the beginning. Now, the way that you can interact with these videos or these live streams is that one, you can listen, you can join in by commenting below, or in the event, if you do happen to be on at the same time, you can probably join into these conversations. However, with housekeepings, these debates are only just debates and we stay onto the topic. What I mean is that there is absolutely no room or tolerating of any personal attacks on people. This is just freedom of speech and to be able to talk and share your perspective. So without any further ado, let's get on with today's topic. Today's topic is, like I mentioned, as you can see scrolling down on the bottom, school. Does it really set up our children for success? My position is on the negative. I don't believe school sets up our children for success. Now, let me lay down a few points onto the table so that we can start building this discussion. So what I mean by school is obviously the way that I define is the institution that our children are enforced to go to by law, usually starting from the age of 6. Now I'm speaking from my perspective of in Australia. And the last time that I went to school was back into the 1990s, just to give you a little bit of perspective of how far back I go. So there may be a few things that have changed, but in general, school is very much the same. So a school is an institution where our children are enforced to go roughly around the age of 6, which starts grade 1, and they are to stay there from memory from my past is that they were about 15 to 16 years old approximately, which puts them into grade 10. Now, for that duration of their lives, school is mandatory. You must go to school by law. And if you don't, there's consequences for truancy and there are some other bits, but bad things just tend to not favor you if you don't attend school between those ages, is what I'm getting to. And school is an institution that is, enforced by the government more so. So I'm just laying down the groundwork for it. Now, the reason why the way that I'm going to set up the negative, as I stated earlier, my position, is myself and perhaps even you, there is two sides. There are two perspectives of the school. There are two things that we have. There's a good answer, like the idea of what school is meant to be. And then there's also this dissonance, this distance of what it actually is. And that's the part that I actually disagree with. So let's first talk about the idea of what school is. For the idea, I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's the dissonance part that I disagree with, and that's where I'm going to start moving my discussion later. But first, let's talk about the idea of what school should be. Should is the key word that stipulates this. School should be an area where kids go in to learn about life in the outside world. Okay, so previous to school, children before the age of 6, before compulsory starting age, children were basically within their nests. They were most likely, or myself, I was brought up by my parents in a family of 4, so we were brought up by our parents. And we never really have an official way of setting us up for the future. Like, sure, our parents can show us manners and how to speak our native mother tongue and how to interact in the world. Yes, son, daughter, you should do this. No, don't do that. Use your manners. Be polite. Do this, and they enforce or influence you a culture, a way of living. These are all good things because they are just teaching you what should be done and what was passed down from their generation to you so you can follow that on in the future. So we humans, we need that. We need that. And I'll get to the reason why a little bit later as I go through. But we do need some form of molding. We do need some form of push towards a direction of what things ought to be, or what things ought to be. And as I mentioned, school is an area that should prepare us for life. They should prepare us for a successful life. It should prepare us for a way that we will be good citizens as we grow up into our adulthood, and as children inevitably grow up and become adults, and adults that we contribute into the economy, and then we have children of our own, and then the life cycle goes on. So that's what should happen. Now let's talk about no. Let's stay onto there a bit. But how can it possibly do that in its most utopian way, right? Should it, like, you have a kid or a child and they say, I want them to be successful people in the future. However, we live in a world where there's an abundance of choice. Abundance of choice of what a child could possibly be. The possibilities are endless. We're talking about different occupations, everything from your professional jobs like, doctor, lawyer, teacher, school. I'm just listing them off, no particular order. Government worker, politician, representative, and like businesses, the business owner, your blue collar workers, your construction, anything and everything. So there's a myriad or almost a near infinite amount of jobs and occupations or ways that future citizens can service the world, right? There's an infinite. So how could an institution possibly cater to all that? So that's almost a near impossibility. So how does one do that? Is a very difficult thing. You could not possibly even ask a child at the age of 6, hey, hello, little Jimmy, what would you like to be when you grow up? Like, we play around those sorts of questions, but can really a 6-year-old articulate their future and where they want to be? Do they have the brain maturity to actually go, yes, I want to be X, Y, Z? Now, granted that there may be the outliers of those kids that really do know what they want at a very young age, or they may have been influenced from external people such as family, parents, generations of work, inheritance. It could be whatever reason. So suppose the majority of the population have no idea what they want to do at the age of 6, or they may have a myriad of different ideas at the best. How does a school or an institution get them ready for success in the future where the child themselves doesn't even know? So the way that one could do it, the school could do it, and the way that they do is that they give you these general topics such as your maths, your science, your language. We call it English here in Australia, but it could be your equivalent to where you are from. The social sciences, your arts, what else do you have? Your physical education and those sorts of subjects. They can have these general subjects. Say, okay, there are so many different things that one could do. Why not we just put them into these and they all have to go through it? And that's what school does. And should school do it? And are they doing the right thing? Well, given that context with infinite number of choices, and they're an institution, they have to be organized and structured in a way, they are left to that equilibrium of just teach them these subjects to begin with. And we may open up other different jobs or different subjects as they grow older. But in the very beginning, they just do these. That's fair. I believe that is fair. Now, let's move into what actually happens. Where is the parts that's actually necessary? The reason why I don't believe schools are setting up children for success is because it's outdated. It's outdated. Now, I'm pulling up a bit of information and I may need to be verified on this information, but let's just suppose this is true. Put this as a hypothesis at least. And I'm open for this to be an argument in itself. Schools have one intent. The intent of school is to prepare children to be working in the proverbial factory, in a production style factory in the industrial age. Now, the factory is a metaphor. The factory is a metaphor. Production scheme, it's a metaphor. But the idea is that the school's intent, and the way I see it and the way that I believe, is that they are just preparing them to work in a factory. A factory, allow me to elaborate what that is as a metaphor. A factory is an organization. A factory could be a structure. A factory could be just one entity. And that entity operates in this culture. You have, on a vertical scale, you have a boss to a boss to a boss to a boss, and it goes down in a vertical hierarchy. So you begin in the bottom and you promote your way upwards. School is designed so that children can move into this industrial style of running society. Think of a factory worker. That's why I use it. Think of a factory worker. Now, why is that so? How does school does that? What's that got to do with anything? Let me elaborate a little bit more. How is school setting up people for success if it goes through this way? Now, I know the answer to this. It's just rhetorical. How does school set? And this is the way it does it. The first thing from a 6-year-old child, they may not understand it from the very beginning, is that the most important thing, that the very first thing that's most important, is that you are required to be at a place and time. You are required to be at a pre-approved, dedicated place and time, i.e., 9 o'clock in the morning, you will be outside this door about to enter into this classroom. You are going to time on, and it's going to start at 9 o'clock every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then you might get your 2 days off, known as the weekend, but then you're back again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you must be there at this given time. Sure. Okay. Now it's and for that period of time, you will be under the supervision of a person of authority. Someone for that duration will tell you what is expected of you. These are the tasks that you must do. This is what is expected of you. And if you don't do these tasks, there will be repercussions because you are not following preset determined policy and rules. I'm not saying that these are bad, but this is the way that it is. And this is what schools getting children ready for. It's in the industrial sort of age. It's got that mentality that you have to do. Now, I'm going to throw in a little bit of a segue of why I disagree, just a little bit a little bit of hook, which I will discuss a little bit further, but I want to elaborate more on that point because I'm probably going to guess that there are a few people going, yeah, well, what else do you expect? There are parts I do agree with, but I'm just peeling it off the layers. I'm going to move in creative industries, creative work. We're moving into 2024 where we can work offline and people can be creators and they get to do what they want if they get to provide service. That's what I'm going to throw in. It's just a nugget, but I will discuss that a little bit further. But let's go back to that whole you must be here at this sort of time. It's a very rigid and structured way of learning. Now, this is the intent of school. This is what they require of you. They don't really care how well you perform. Well, actually they do, but for their own selfish needs. They don't really care on the individual child's basis. That's why, remember the topic. It says, does it set up our children for success? In the sense, no. In the sense, no. They will only set them up to success if they can see the golden child and if they can make their company or their school looks good, they will put more effort into them. But if you're below average, mediocre, you'll be pushed down to the bottom. You'll be labeled down to the bottom. They're not going to lift you up. They're not there to, oh, Jimmy's a little bit of a, they need a little bit of extra help. Except this is how I felt. Because, there may be many different myriads of things such as oversized classrooms, like teacher to student ratios, and there's a lot of red tape that teachers have to go through. There's probably a lot of things. I've been out of the school system for a long time, so that could be open for interpretation, but I want to keep it very simple. I'm not saying teachers are bad. In fact, I think teachers are amazing. I think teachers actually don't get the credit for the life that they actually do because they have a job of inspiring wisdom into children. And that's such a noble cause. It's just unfortunate that the arena of what we call school, the way that they get to play with and the way that they get to implement such a noble cause is so wrong. It's another little area why I disagree. Anyway, I want to keep on track. So school is setting up children to work in a factory. And the only reason why they need to work in the factory is if you think back up to the hierarchy, if you think way back up to the hierarchy, now look at the top boss. All right. Not to say that they're corrupt, but we are all humans and we have this intent, I believe, is that we want to automate everything. By human nature, one of the 7 deadly sins or whatever you call it, one of the traits of human nature that we will always move towards is laziness. Laziness means we want to put the least amount of effort to get the results that we want. That's laziness. We want to put the least, and one could call that leverage. Now that's a topic for another day. Now that's smart laziness. Leverage is actually smart. We are all inherently lazy. It's in our human nature. We don't want to spend more energy than we need to get by in life or to get more. Because there is another but another trait or sin of human nature. We are also greedy as well. So you have laziness and greediness. Put them together into the mix and see what you get. All right, so you have a lazy, greedy person way up on top. Human nature dictates. We all have it. I have it. You have it. The person next to you has it. The person over there has it. We're all this. And to add a third into the mix, we're all selfish too. We all inherently care about ourselves first. So we have lazy, greedy, selfish people. Agree, disagree, These are parts of human nature that's undeniable. Now, whether they are good or bad, they're morals and their ethics. That's a different topic altogether, but we are there. So school is out there to get these people ready when they're at working age to work in production line areas. Now, let's go back into the subjects that they learn, because I want to talk about grading. This is to separate. If you've ever asked yourself the question, why the heck am I learning calculus? Why the heck am I learning geometry? Why the hell do I need to learn geography? Why the hell do I need to learn history, Japan? Why do I need to learn World War II? Why do I need to learn about the history of our country or whatever subject that you have a sour distaste to, that you find literally boring and it doesn't run? Why do I have to learn music? Why do I have to learn these? Like I said at the very beginning, schools cannot cater for the infinite number of choices that you could be. It doesn't dictate towards one individual saying, hey, 6-year-old Jimmy, you are going to be a police officer when you grow up. Here's a school structure that's going to be set you up for it. They can't do that because there's just so many kids out there with one teacher. The ratio just does not work. So let's talk about the grading system. So why does a child, when they're put into a classroom, they have to do these exercises that are in a book, in the textbook, and they're all compared to it? Now, I didn't realize this as I was going through school, and I wish I had, but I probably, even if you did try to tell me when I was at school, I probably wouldn't have been able to comprehend it. It's only when I'm 40 now that I realize this. The reason why you are doing those proverbial, contradicting, could be useless subjects is to gain one intent. And that intent is to separate, can you do it? Can you not do this exercise? Can you solve the problem or can you not? And that level is graded on top performance to low performance. It's a way to collect a metric to those can and cannot do. It's unfair. Life is unfair. And one could say that school's teaching you this essential life skill, that it is unfair. There are going to be subjects that you're going to be strong at. There are going to be subjects that you're going to be weak at. There are some subjects that are going to be challenged. And there are going to be some subjects that are so dry that even the micro thought of it is so painful to you. But yet you are enforced to do it because a person of authority is putting that earnest on you. And there are consequences if you do not follow through. In life, sometimes you do have to do the things that you don't like. But like going back into the grading, they'll put this particular exercise and they want to find out who can do it and who can't. So take, for example, your history lesson. Who can do this exercise? Who can meet these learning outcomes and who cannot? Who can and who cannot? Because as you go through life later on, life is all about that, the haves and the have-nots. Have you finished primary school? Have you finished high school? Have you graduated from a college? Have you got a university degree? Have you got an honors? Have you got a PhD? And etc. It just keeps going. That's the education sort of world. And one could actually even argue that the whole education system is geared towards making academics in the world. But as you all know, academics do not run the world. As much as nothing wrong with academics. This is not a diss against academics. However, the problem is that we just get this dissonance. Like I said, what we think the ideal school should be and what it actually is. Now, is preparing children to work in a factory necessarily a bad thing? No, it's not. It's not saying that school is bad, but it's not necessarily setting them up for success either, because people do need direction. People do need, I believe, being social sort of beings, we do need structure. We do need routine. We do need a point of authority, regardless of what you think of authority. You do need a sense of someone, something leading you and you following. Be that yourself or you following on someone else. Now, the reason why I say that is humans, by their nature, we are social beings. We rely on other people, regardless of what you think about that point. Now, it's a little bit off topic when it goes to school, but you think about it. If it's training people, that's how I keep. People need people. We've always have needed people. Ever since from the moment you were born, you think about it. When you were born, or any baby is born, for the first few years, like many years, actually, humans don't generally hit puberty until 10 years. Now, in that time frame of the first 10 years, we are so dependent on other people to provide us the resources, to provide us the security, to provide us the food, to provide us survival skills, and to get to the age of 10, to mating age, so that we can replicate. And then once we can replicate, you are in your adult phases to help provide for the society. It takes us decades to do that. Not really any other species on this planet follows such a long continuum. Take, for example, like the butterfly's life cycle, which only goes for approximately 18 days from memory. I learned that random from school. Could be wrong. I just pulled that up from the top of my head. 18 days life cycle of a butterfly. Us, approximately 70 years. 10 years to reach puberty. 10 years before we can replicate our own species. So we rely on other people. So in that sense, we do need a sense of structure. We do need a sense of leadership or management, enforcement. We do need to go, yes, go left, go right, go left, pick that up, put that down to a certain degree. I'm not saying that we don't need that at all. It's just that, going back to the topic, is the schools really setting our children for success? My answer was no. You're more than welcome to put your points and perspective on otherwise. Now, to finish off, I want to talk about a utopian way. A utopian, this is just the Henry's way. And this is just like anything else, it's open for debate. All right, I'm welcome for you to hit a debate, but remember, keep it to the topic and don't hit me personally or anything. It's not that I don't have a tough skin or anything, but I just want to keep this professional as it is. There is a utopian sort of sense. Now, I believe school is good in the sense for getting children, could be life skills to a degree. So we should send our children to institutions, right? We should be that mandatory. Should it be enforced? We can probably temper it down, but I do believe in general it's a good thing. In general, to be able to go to a place, due to what I've mentioned in the last bits, to have routine, to have people, to be put into a position where we can make friends and network and be in an area where wisdom can be passed down to us from our teachers. I think it's a good thing. However, the enforcement part, the whole uniform and the rigidity and the old thinking of you are going to be into a production line as you go through, maybe not. Because school gives us the opportunity. Now, I'm sandwiching and I'm going to say, here are the good things about school. Not necessarily where I agree, just here are the good things about school. School gives us the opportunity to learn life skills. It learns us to deal with other people. It gives us an opportunity to see in a generally safe environment, to test out things, ask questions, negotiate, argue, make friends, have fights, start relationships. Find out who your friends are. Find out who you can trust. Find out what it's like to be hurt and, to build up some resilience. Okay, they're all good things. And to work and to collaborate with other children other than people of our family, to be able to be exposed to different people from different upbringings. Yes, these are all good things, because when you get out into life, that gets exaggerated to a larger scale, to a global scale. They're all good things. However, I like to be able to see an integration of, there are better ways to learn things, and the positive reinforcements and the negative reinforcements to competency. Okay, if you're not good at mathematics, but you are good at English, or you are good at social science, or you're good at science, right? I believe when you get to the age of 10 or 11 and you can clearly see what a kid is good at, I believe they should just nut down on those subjects and make those areas of weakness just get rid of them. Get rid of them. So my example is, if you're terrible at mathematics, if you're absolutely shocking at maths, but you're good at English and you're at the age of 10, I reckon at that stage you can kind of go, I don't want to do mathematics anymore, but I will keep attending school, but I will do language. I just want to focus on language, because I think that would actually produce a better human being at the very end. Yeah, there's no need for this generalist sort of thing, because when that kid goes into maths, they're going to be a bad child. But when they're in an area that they could possibly be good at, like English or language, they should nut down at a very young age, not worry about the broad spectrum. Who cares if you fail and you don't know history? If you don't know history, but you're good at mathematics and science, I say just do all mathematics and science. Just do the whole thing. It's like if you were at sport. Imagine, think about it. If you're a sport and if you're a good goalie, right? Wouldn't it make sense for all your training sessions, and you want to be goalie and you like being goalie and you're actually really good at it? Wouldn't it actually make more sense for you, just every single time that you go out there, is to do the thing that you like? And it's so rare in this day and age to actually be encouraged, complimented, and to see some real results when you actually do something that you love. So if you're a goalie, you should just stay in goalie training. Just stay in goalie. Don't worry about, needing to be a midfielder, to be a jack of all trades. Get rid of them. Don't worry about it. Just focus on the thing that you're good at and the thing that you enjoy. Because as I'm growing up, and another topic, it's so hard for people to find things that they're passionate about because they're so scared. They feel like they need to be good at everything, and they exaggerate on their weaknesses and stuff. But if you're weak at something, you should really just let that go. Because there are other people in this world, because we rely on a world of society of other people who pick up your slack anyways. But you can contribute in another way. You should contribute in the way that you have a competitive advantage in. That's another topic. You should always knuckle down on the things that you're always good at. Don't worry about the things that you're bad at. You don't need them. You don't need them. You got through life that far without needing it. Why is there this person at the front of the classroom saying you need to know this? Of course you're going to be defensive to that. It's like, no, I survived this long without it, and I'm pretty sure I could survive a little bit longer without it, without knowing it. But it's enforced. You were told to, and it's going to affect your grades, and it's going to affect you into the future. It's going to label you in a position that may not be favorable to you, but it's just a bias. You don't have to be good at everything. The fact that you love something that if you love the arts, if you love science, that's what you should do. You should just knuckle down onto it. Now, I believe when I got into year 11, year 12, I had a little bit more of a structure to get there, but I don't think that they should be left out to that, because it's so sad when we go transition around about 13, 14, 15, the years that we're most influenced and where we grow up and realize where we fit into the world. And we're doing things that we do not like, and it creates this rebellious part in us. It's so sad. So sad. That's where I think school lets children down. They want to be potential, but they don't have the capability to push through. So it should be a choice. They should have more options on what they actually study. And yeah, if they want to swap and change around, do it. They might not make the best decisions at the very beginning, but heck, when we grow up in adults, how many times do people change their careers? It happens. Life happens. You may make a decision one day and kind of go, oh, I don't know exactly what it is that I want to do. I thought I wanted to do that, but then after doing it, it's not the right thing. That's okay. We'll go back and do the other thing. So I'd like to be able to see more of choice, more of recognizing. Schools can at least recognize. I think teachers, good teachers, can still recognize what the strengths and weaknesses of their students are. Even if they have, if you're a good teacher, you know that little Jack down there is good at mathematics, and little Kelly there can't read properly, and Maria there is an absolute winner, champion in science. You will know that. I think they should just push them through. I think that's all I really have on the topic of school today. So, was it controversial? What are parts that you agree with? What are parts that you disagree with? And definitely put your points down. What do you think? Do you think it sets us for success? Is it necessary? Is it needed? I touched on those sorts of parts. Is it really setting us up? And how would you, if you could, put your little spin on it? And like I said, I think I mentioned, I've been out of school since 2001. So I haven't stepped into a school classroom since, actually I tell a lie. When I was actually doing some parts of my teaching degree, I think I walked in there about 2007. So things may have changed. But I'm really curious about what it's like in the 2024 with the day and age of where social media and technology and artificial intelligence, I didn't even get to say that. The implication that artificial intelligence is going to rock the education world. I can only see it just shaking up this industrial format even more. Because how cool will it be for, I don't know, just the fact of saying, Mr. Smith, whatever, my computer can teach mathematics better than you. Why do I need to listen to you teach? That's phenomenal. That's absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, so that's the end of this sort of topic, and I hope you like these type of videos. I don't know how long this has gone for, but the best way, if you got to this end, bless you. Absolutely bless your soul. The best way for you to support me is to keep these videos running. I suggest that you listen to this better than just watching it the whole time. I can't imagine someone just watching it the whole entire time, but if you did, let me know. A few things that you can let you know. If you want to contact me, there's a QR code, so you can just use your phone and that will send you to my beacons, my link invite, and feel free to connect to me with any other way. My name's Henry, and I'm a speaker, thought leader, and I talk about controversial topics. And if you like this type of video, I like to be able to do a little bit more of it. Hopefully one day I can actually have an interaction with people on Zoom, coming on live stream, but it's one of those things I just need to get started on and to get content out there. And that's another topic, and that may be the topic for the next video. So till then, if you've been here, hope you've enjoyed today's discussion on school. Hope it widened your perspective, if anything, or it made you reinforce your own ways of thinking. Either way, they're both winners. And like I said, if there's any points that you disagree with, definitely put them in. I love to have these as open discussion. I'm not a be-all and end-all. I'm not a cult leader or anything. I'm not saying one's good, one's bad. I'm just putting out one person's perspective, my perspective, and it's a way to share to you. And I hope, and the intent is that it just makes you with a wider perspective. With a wider perspective, you have more clarity into this world, and clarity is win. Clarity is certainty. Certainty is love. And I love you all. Till next time, take care, and I hope to see you again.